ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। चैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवं च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणरघुनाथ श्रीविशाखान्वितां च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधकान्ता नमस्ते सप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारणं परमानन्दं माधवं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वरं नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वती व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतोत्तम श्लोकैर्भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। थैंक यू प्रभुजी।
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Your Grace, like Devi Mataji, for that beautiful Mangacharana and invoking the blessings. So, welcome everyone to this forum. We are going to a discourse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, verse chapter 8, verse 23. So, welcome everyone that is yet to join. Also, and those that will watch in this forum on online basis, online. So I would like to hand it over to His Grace Rukma Das prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So the Sanskrit is like this: Yathatma tantro bhagavana vikridanti atma mayaya vishchitya va yathamayam udashta shakshivad vibhu. Translation: the independent personality of Godhead enjoys his pastimes by his internal potency, and at the time of annihilation gives them up to the external potency, and he remains a witness to it all. I hope I am in the right verse here, 23. Second canto, chapter 8, verse number 23. Is that correct? Okay. Anybody likes to read the translation? Anybody likes to read the translation? Okay, if there's no one, I'll read the translation. It's a very short purport. Lord Shri Krishna, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead and fountainhead of all other incarnations, is the only independent person. He enjoys his pastimes by creation as he desires and gives them up to the external energy at the time of annihilation. By his internal potency only, he kills the demon Putna, even though enjoying his pastimes in the lap of his mother Yashoda. And when he desires to leave this world, he creates the pastimes of killing his own family members, Yadukul, and remains unaffected by such annihilation. He is the witness of everything that is happening, and yet he has nothing to do with anything. He is independent in every respect. Maharaj Parikshit desired to know more perfectly, for a pure devotee ought to know well. So, these are a series of questions asked by Maharaj Parikshit. which every devotee asks. You find that in your devotional service, so many thousands of questions arise. Until those answers are not corrected in a satisfactory way, then they remain like a doubt in your mind. So in this verse, his question is that Krishna enjoys his pastime by his internal potency. And at the time of annihilation, he gives them up to the external potency, and he remains a witness to all. Now here, Srila Prabhupada explains that Krishna is Swarat. Swarat means independent. In this entire creation, no one is independent as Krishna. Krishna is fully independent. In the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the opening verse speaks of his being aloof from the creation, independent. At the same time, he's the fountainhead of all incarnations. In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, also that verse appears, that from Krishna comes all the incarnation. And that is the origin of everything. Now Krishna performs his powerful pastimes by his internal potency, not like us. Internal potency is very different. It's called Yoga Maya. Whereas we living entities serve the Mahamaya, or the external potency. But Krishna's pastimes are all transcendental. And he does whatever he likes at his own will. Parasya Shakti Vivideva Shuyate Jnana Bala Kriya. And that verse it says, he is cognizant or knowledgeable of whatever is happening. That is called Jnana. Bala means with all his energy. And Kriya, by his own will. Everything is happening. And everything is going on very nicely, perfectly. So whatever he does is very, very independently done by his own will, by his own wish. And he performs his pastimes to please his devotees. And in future, those who hear these pastimes will also become liberated. In the Bhagavad Gita, he says, whoever understands my appearance and my pastimes will not take birth again after leaving this body. So that's the guarantee given by Krishna to Arjuna, and it's actually a benediction to all of us. We simply to hear about Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's births. So all this is done by his internal potency. An example Srila Prabhupada gives in the purport is that of Putna. Putna came to kill Krishna. He was just a matter of a month or two. And she changed her form to a very beautiful, attractive woman, nicely dressed, nicely ornamented, and walked into Gokul. So the other women thought, oh, maybe she's a goddess. They did not forbid her to enter the house where Krishna was there. Even Mother Yashoda didn't know. And she took Krishna on her lap, started feeding her milk. Now the whole plan was that she had smeared poison, a very strong poison, that if a child takes even a drop of it, will die. It didn't happen like that because Krishna is Krishna. So Krishna started taking milk, and she was very happy to see Krishna. But behind her very face was death. Instead of Krishna being killed, it is she who got killed, because Krishna took the milk and even her life breath, and she died. And her original form was revealed as a giant cannibal, a woman, a meat-eating woman, demoness. And the people were shocked to see a huge form who had come to kill Krishna. And they thought Krishna is dead, but there Krishna was sitting on her. So quickly they took Krishna down. So this pastime was done while sitting on the lap of Mother Yashoda. Means Putna came and took him to poison him. And then Krishna even killed her. So Krishna's pastimes are very many, and sometimes they are very, very puzzling when you hear them. It's very, very puzzling. When Krishna wanted to fold his pastimes after the war of Mahabharata, after many years after Mahabharata war, then his own people, his own family, called as the Yadus or the Yadavas, they were the most powerful people on this planet because they were no ordinary people. They had already come with Krishna as a part of his entourage. And Krishna wanted to send all of them back. And I don't know if you heard the pastime is like this, that one of the Krishna's grandson rather, known as Samba, he was dressed as a woman and he was carrying under the sari, he was carrying a mace, an iron mace. And then they, along with other boys, just out of mischief, approached some sages, including Narada. And he asked the sages that this woman is pregnant. Can you tell us whether she's going to give a birth to a boy or a girl? And the sages, they knew what is happening and they became very angry. And after anger, they cursed that whoever be born from this person will destroy your entire dynasty. And what happened? The children or the boys got afraid because the truth came out. So they went to their grandfather, Ugrasen, and narrated all that had happened. And when Ugrasen heard the whole entire thing, even Ugrasen got afraid. He says the best thing to do is get rid of this mess. Now you can't get rid of mess. Either you melt it or you crush it. So it was crushed for a long time till it became fine powder. And this powder was brought to the king Ugrasen, who said, go and throw it in the ocean. And it was thrown in the ocean. And all those flints or the small particles of iron from the mace grew like trees of the land with thorns on them. And a time came, there was a day when all these boys, the Yadus, were very, very powerful. They got drunk. And they were drunk and they started fighting with each other, cutting those trees, those plants, which were like cactus, or not powerful than the cactus. They had thorns all over. They started beating each other and killing each other. In this way, the whole Yadu dynasty was completely finished. Now, all this all happening, all this was planned by Krishna, was to get rid of his entourage, send them back to Vaikuntha before him. So killing and all that seems to be done by the external potency. But who is behind it is the internal potency. So this is the pastime Krishna created to kill the Yadus, and yet he was unaffected by their annihilation. He knew it's going to happen. At the same time, it is said in the Mahabharata that there was a curse of Gandhari. Gandhari is the wife of Dhritarashtra, or the mother of the Kauravas. When all her sons died, she came to Krishna. Krishna came to console her. And she was still very angry that how come Kunti's son, all of 5 are alive, and my 100 sons, not even one son is alive. Of course, she even knew that her sons were not virtuous. And this is the fate this is the fate they were going to meet. But she told Krishna that you could have stopped the war. Actually, Krishna had tried to stop the war, but they did not listen. In the end, they had to suffer the consequences. So, at the end of the war, Gandhari's anger became into a curse. And she cursed Krishna that the way I have lost my children, all your entire dynasty will vanish. And Krishna pleased thee, happily took up that curse. And he wanted it to happen like it. And this is the way it happened. And it did not affect him. So Krishna remains a witness of everything. Krishna is the Lord in the heart of everyone, called Paramatma. And he's got nothing to do with it. If you want to read this particular activity, you can go to the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It says, Anumanta Upadashta Anumanta. Upadrashta Anumanta. Upadashta means he's the superseer. Anumanta means he knows whatever is going on. And he's in the heart of everyone as Paramatma, as the Lord in the heart. And he does everything. This is how Krishna is acting in all of us. So some of us may think that, why am I acting sinfully? Or why am I acting piously? Well, the direction is coming from inside your heart. You find that many of you do have this feeling that sometimes with someone within your heart tells you not to do this. Many of us have this experience. We prepare ourselves to commit some havoc, some sin, some terrible things. And within the heart, you get a voice not to do it. Who is that? And that is Krishna in your heart. That is called Paramatma. And if you want to know Paramatma fully, then you follow the rules and regulations as given in the 6th chapter called the Dhyana Yoga. By constant meditation of the Lord in the heart, you can actually hear him. And those who are very fortunate can even see him. But it is not easy. And in this age, it is not possible. Because in the 6th chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna, go to a secluded place, means a lonely place, like a forest. Sit down in a lotus position on deerskin covered with cloths and meditate upon me. And this needs very strong determination, fearlessness, and following the rules and regulations. And if one does that, then he can know the Lord in the heart, known as Paramatma. However, more important than that is to know Krishna. Because Krishna is the origin of Paramatma and Atma in our heart and the entire creation. So Krishna knows everything, he's cognizant, he's aware of everything. Even the opening verse of Bhagavatam says that he is cognizant of whatever is happening to every detail. And yet Krishna is independent. So two important things in this question is that how does he perform his pastimes? And the second thing is, how does annihilation, he also takes part in annihilation, which is done by the external potency, and yet he remains the witness to everything. So Maharaj Parikshit was very inquisitive and a typical devotee, that what happens to a person being a pure devotee, and a pure devotee asks such questions. Why this? Why that? Why is this happening? For example, if you read Bhagavad Gita, you'll find so many questions. Like one of the most turning questions appears in the 14th chapter. Krishna speaks about how to overcome the three modes. I can read the question for you and the answer for you. Very, very interesting question, which is applicable to all of us. If you go to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, and almost towards the end, there's a time when Krishna asks three questions. 21, Arjuna inquires, "Oh my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? How do we know that he is transcended these three modes?" Was the first question. Second question is, what is his behavior? And number three is, how do he transcend the three modes? A very technical question. And Krishna replies at length, so many things. Like the first part of the question is that he is free from the dualities of the world, not attached to anyone, and free from delusion, and is above the reactions that brought about by the three modes of nature. And is Samadarshi, becomes equal to everyone. For him, there is no friend, no enemy. This is the way he said to transcended the modes of nature. But in the 1426 comes the very powerful verse. Krishna tells Arjuna, whoever engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahma. Brahma means absolute. Till you do not come to the absolute platform, how can you transcend the three modes of nature? It's not possible. This is a typical question asked by him. Another famous question is in the 4th chapter. When Krishna spoke or told Arjuna that I spoke this Bhagavad Gita millions of years ago to Sangha, Arjuna said, how am I to believe that you spoke this? And Krishna replies, that many, many births you have taken, many, many births I have taken. You do not remember any one of them, I remember all of them. So there's a difference between Krishna and us. So many things are happening or have happened. We may have to dredge our memory to remember them or to recall them. And in most cases, we forget them. We even forget people, what to talk of incidents. Sometimes you have met that person, and after in a matter of 2 or 3 years, when that person appears of you, there may be some sign that you know him, but you forget who he is. Till that person will give you a kind of recall that, do you remember we met? So imagine our memory and the memory of Krishna. So these are some of the questions asked by Arjuna. Even Bhagavad Gita begins with a question. Dhritarashtra asking questions. What did his sons and the sons of his brother Pandu do on the battlefield? And the whole Bhagavad Gita is the answer to his question. And the whole Bhagavad Gita answers this question at the end by the person who was narrating Bhagavad Gita to Dhritarashtra. Because Dhritarashtra was blind, he could not see. So he was told, Dhritarashtra was told at the end of the Bhagavad Gita that wherever there's Krishna, wherever there's Arjuna, there will be victory, morality, extraordinary power, and fortune. That is because of the combination of Krishna and Arjuna. Wherever there's Krishna and wherever there's Supreme Arjuna. So this Bhagavad Gita itself is a question and an answer. Bhagavatam has many, many questions. As you read the questions, some questions are very, very interesting. Like those who have read in the 6th canto the story of Vritasura. Vritasura was a demon, and later on he was killed by Indra. But even while dying, he was remembering Krishna, and he fought till the end. So Indra was shocked. Did I kill a demon? Did I kill a devotee? And then the whole story of Vritasura is explained in detail in his previous life as King Chitraketu. This way, as you read Bhagavad Gita, you hear so many questions. So Maharaj Parikshit is asking so many questions. And this chapter rather is known as Questions by King Parikshit. The whole chapter is entitled either, where so many questions have appeared, and many questions will also appear here. But today's main question is that Krishna performs his pastime by his internal potency, and how does he do his annihilation? At the time of annihilation, what happens? So that will be answered in the due course. We stick to the purpose of Srila Prabhupada, who explains at least 2 things. That Krishna is independent or the aloof from creation. At the same time, he is the origin of all the incarnations which appear one by one. All are eternally there in Vaikuntha. And they appear from there down here. Whenever or wherever there's a necessity, wherever there's a decline in religious principles, Krishna tells Arjuna, I appear to perform 3 things: to protect my devotees, to punish the non-devotees, and to re-establish religious principles. So these are the themes of Bhagavad Gita. As you read your faith in Krishna will increase, and your devotion will also go up. So that is the way this very verse is explaining. So I'll read the verse again. The independent personality of Godhead enjoys his pastimes by his internal potency, and at the time of annihilation gives them up to the external potency. He remains a witness to it all. Then see that in short, all his activities are done by his internal potency, and the annihilation is done by his external potency. That is the meaning. And that he is the witness to all. He knows whatever is happening. So I don't think we have much time. I end up here. If you have any additions or questions, we started a bit late, but the time just got finished. Any questions? Okay, if there's no questions, probably we can end up here. Does anybody like to add something in case I've forgotten something? Okay, we can end up here. Vaja kalpa tarubhasya kripa sindhu bhaivacha patitana pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo Vaishnav Thakur ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.